Okay, on the last part, we're gonna talk about bone. And first, we're gonna review some anatomy, so we can understand better what we are talking about. So we're gonna study actually the long bones because we're gonna study like the growth of bones. So here we're gonna call epiphysis, and these over here is gonna call diaphysis. So the diaphysis is over here, and the epiphysis also is down here. So the difference between those two is that the diaphysis is composed of compact bone. And remember, compact bone is really mineralized. The epiphysis is made of trabecular bone, or as they call cancellous bone, and that's the difference between them. Growth occurs in the epiphysis because, as you're gonna see, there is a cartilage over here that keeps growing with age. Okay, it's going to keep growing and calcifying and make bone growth. So let's draw another bone over here. Okay, so in the outer part of the bone over here, we're gonna have a membrane. This membrane is going to give nutrition to the bone. It's gonna bring vascularization. So we're gonna call this periosteum. In the middle over here, you're gonna see that you have the bone marrow. And the bone marrow is where the cells are, the lymphocytes, B and T cells, and all the other cells. So as I told before, here we're gonna have trabecular bone or cancellous bone. But here and here you're going to have a compact bone. The same thing happens over here. And remember, I told you we have a structure over there, a cartilage, epiphyseal cartilage over here, and one over here that's gonna promote growth. And that's basically the anatomy that we need to know about bone. Remember, bone is composed of 50% of minerals and 50% of organic. Okay, so minerals are referred as hydroxy apatite, which is the mineral part, and the organic part is all those cells and the bone marrow. About the cells of the bone, we have three types of cells actually. We're gonna have the osteoblast, the osteocyte, and the osteoclast. Okay, remember, osteoblast, I told you before, is the young cell. Is the cell that produces a matrix. So it's going to produce osseous matrix. And in this case, you're going to give a special name. The matrix produced by the osteoblast is named osteoid. Okay, when this cell matures, it's going to mature into our osteocyte. And osteocyte also, as we saw before with cartilage, is going to get entrapped and is going to mineralize the osteoid, and then is going to become mature. Osteoclasts are cells, are monocytes that comes from the bloodstream, and they get all together and form a multinuclear cell to reabsorb bone. Okay, so let's draw so we can understand better. Here you have your osteoblast, which is a young cell. So when this osteoblast start to produce a matrix, he also is going to change shape and it's going to get entrapped. Okay, so this is your osteocyte. Okay, so the osteocyte is included inside of a lacuna. Okay, lacuna, and all these are around this osteoid. Osteoid is the matrix. Remember, this cell is producing all these around and gets entrapped. So there is this empty space in between the cell, which you're gonna call lacuna. And those projections of cell over here, this one also, and this one that comes over here, and this one that comes over here, we're gonna call these canaliculi. Okay. So, okay, well, you have your osteoblast, which matures and become an osteocyte. And here on the site, I'm going to draw a big cell. This is a multinucleated cell because it has several cells together. So let's put the nucleus over there. And they are responsible for resorption of the bone and remodeling the bone also. This we're gonna call osteoclast. Everything that is classed since now is going to reabsorb or remodel something. Okay. Okay, knowing this part, now you're gonna draw the real bone. I'm gonna make a cut over here on the bone, and let's draw and see the anatomy inside. So if I cut the bone like that, I'm gonna have like a round structure like this, and then inside you're gonna have lots of round structures like this. Okay, the middle one, which I'm gonna color in red over here, this is where blood and blood vessels and other structures come over there. So these we're gonna call Harvesian canals. Okay, the very central one, Harvesian canal. The very central one is the Harvesian canal. It contains structures that give nutrition to the bone. Okay, and over here you have the several structures that have several rings inside. That's the structure of the bone. So this whole thing we're gonna call Harvasian system. Okay, Harvasian system. The middle canal is Harvasian canal. So when two of those structures over here connect through a canal, we're gonna call Volksman canal. Okay, like I can have another one over here and another one over here. This single structure, one structure over here, one single one called osteon. Okay, so a canal that connects two osteons is called Volksman canals. Okay. Okay, now let's get this osteon over here and amplify, okay? And then you have your central canal, which I told you it called Harvasian canal, and I'm gonna make in red over here. And now around of these, we have the lamella that we discussed already on the other part. Each one of these rings called lamella. Okay. Within the lamina, you have cells over here, sitting over here. Well, we talked before. Those cells called the osteocytes, okay, because they are entrapped over there. And those osteocytes, they send communications between them. Remember, those we call canalicules. Okay, those are canaliculi. Okay. So this is the Harvasian canal where the nutrition comes, and it's all we need to know about the structure of the bone. Now we're gonna talk about bone development. In bone development, we can have two types of development. One is intramembranous. Is how our bone grows. And the other one is endochondral. Well, intramembranous ossification, it is a positional growth. That means it grows in layers. This is a growth that happens by the differentiation of cells, mesenchyme cells, into osteoblasts. And osteoblasts produce osteoid. Osteoid is the matrix, remember. So they get entrapped and then growth happens. So intramembranous ossification also needs to happen between two dense connective tissues. Okay, and for example, this is the growth that happens in the maxilla, in the mandible, and also in flat bones. Endochondral development is going to always start in a hyaline cartilage. we we talked about cartilage before, and we said that a cartilage was like a model for bone development. That's what we are talking about. So now we're gonna get in details. So this type of growth is gonna happen, for example, in the head of the mandibular condyle. Okay, and now you're gonna draw. So you have your hyaline cartilage over here. That's a hyaline cartilage, which is gonna serve as a model. This is gonna start to grow. And here in the middle is gonna appear a structure called primary ossification center. Is where you're gonna start, right in the middle. And then this still keeps growing over here. Make our ossification bigger. And then here is gonna appear another centers of ossification. We're gonna call this the secondary ossification center. Okay, and blood vessels are going to come over here, so it can continue growth, you know. And then on the next step, then we have more the format of the bone. Okay, and then we have the formation of the bone marrow over here in the middle. We have trabecular bone over here, because those structures they start to calcify. We have compact bone on the sides, but most important, we have the epiphyseal plate over here, which is a piece of cartilage that, you know, keeps that cartilage to promote growth in size. So that's the epiphyseal cartilage, and is how bone growth is done in adults. And that's all we need to know about bone.